A good Saturday morning, everybody. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Penovich. We're tracking that potential winter storm for Sunday night into Monday. Things becoming a little more clear and into focus this morning, especially for the mountains and foothills. For the Charlotte area, still looks like pretty much a non-event, but it's going to be really, really close. Let me get to what's going on right now. We've got a lot of rain mixed with some snow in the mountains, but this is primarily rain. Today's actually going to be pretty warm because we've got this warm front which is drifting up to the north. That's going to allow for temperatures to kind of stay basically in the upper 50s to low 60s. In fact, if I look at the temperatures right now, I'll show you where they are. They're generally in the 30s and 40s, but they'll warm up into the 50s to near 60 today. The big storm system we're tracking is still well off to our west. It's still just organizing. The upper level energy is up here, and the surface energy and moisture is here. They're going to come together and form a system tomorrow that's going to move over. So it's a really complex and dynamic system that's got a lot of players in it. We already have winter storm watches up for the mountains. That includes Avery, Ashwaubenon, Yancey, Mitchell counties. Those are under a watch. These might be expanded down into the Smokies and maybe for parts of the foothills, but right now, as of the recording of this, which is around 9 a.m., we've got winter storm watches up for just the mountain counties. So let me show you the system. It's really fascinating to look on the water vapor loop. This is the biggest player in this whole system. This is the snow part, or the cold air upper level energy part, that will be the driver of the snow. Down here, you can see all the moisture that's developing across the Gulf Coast. This is going to be the moisture driver. But this thing dropping down out of Montana, now moving into Wyoming this morning, really is the player that's going to be key to whether or not we're going to see snow and how far south of the snow we're going to see. I'm going to show you first that energy. This is the European model, and that piece of energy you can see is reflected right there in the middle of your screen. That's that area right there. This is the piece of energy to watch as it pushes to the southeast. So this is going into tomorrow morning. It's still well off to the west. It's moving into Missouri by about midday on Sunday. Remember, we set our clocks ahead tomorrow, so this will actually be 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you see this moving through Missouri. Then it moves down to the southeast, and by 2 a.m. Monday morning, it's still to our west. But then we get close to about 8 a.m. on Monday. This is when things get interesting because that piece of energy begins to enter the mountains. So what this is a dynamic lift. It's basically taking the air to surface and lifting it up, which cools it and squeezes out moisture, but it's also a pocket of cold air aloft. So it's got two things going for it: dynamics to drive the snow, but also cold air aloft to make it turn to snow. So this is really the snowmaker in this whole kind of setup here. The surface low, which is going to soak us with a miserable rain tomorrow, really not the big player in this, to be honest with you. You could see that upper level energy 2 o'clock Monday afternoon. It's just crossing over the Carolinas, and by the time we go to Monday night, it starts to push off to the east. And that time frame really is 8 a.m. Monday to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday afternoon. That really is the time frame that we're looking at for potential snow. So let me kind of break this down with our Futurecast here, and this will give you a good timing of what I expect. We'll go hour by hour. And you can see today, on again, off again showers. This is not really a big deal. Not much snow in the mountains today, so Saturday's the better of the 2 days this weekend. We go into Sunday morning. This is going to likely be a miserable cold rain across most of our area. We're going to get wedged in. Northeast winds will push down early in the day. And as the rain falls in, some of it evaporates. That causes cooling. And so we're talking 40s and miserable cold rain. Typical winter storm around here. At least at the onset. We go into Sunday afternoon. Some of the rain could be heavy, especially mid to late afternoon. Sunday's an ugly day, I'll be honest with you. But then late Sunday, as the cold air tries to work in aloft, higher elevations above 3,500 feet, probably closer to 4,000 to 5,000 feet, we'll see a changeover to snow. And that will be on again, off again through Monday. That's why the mountains could end up with some higher amounts, because it'll change to snow quicker. This is 2 a.m. Monday morning. Notice all rain across the Piedmont, but snowing pretty good in the mountains. Heavy snow at that. And this is where it really starts to pile up in the mountains. So for the mountain community, Sunday night into Monday, this is where we really see the snow come down. Big, fat, wet, heavy flakes that will accumulate on trees and power lines. Got to be very wary of trees coming down up there. Monday morning, we'll stop this at about 6 a.m. Notice the snow is spreading out now. It's all of the mountains. Now it's getting close to Morganton, Taylorsville, and almost to Statesville, to Greensboro. This is where things start to get a little interesting. The cold air is now working in. Remember that piece of energy I showed you? It's working in. So the atmosphere is cooling from the top down, not from the bottom up. So it might still be in the 30s and 40s, but the air above our heads will be getting colder as we go through the morning, which means things will start changing to snow. This is 7 a.m. and I'll stop this at 8 a.m. Notice where the rain snow line is now. Morganton, Hickory, maybe Lincolnton, maybe Mooresville, down to Salisbury starts to see snow. Now it's a mix here, so it's going to have a tough time sticking initially, but it could be heavy. Up in here, that's really heavy snow falling up there. We'll go to 9 a.m. That rain snow line's getting close to Huntersville, Cornelius, maybe even North Lake Mall, the university area, maybe Gastonia and Shelby. But that's where it gets really close, and you can see solid snow across the Interstate 40 corridor. We go towards 11 a.m. That's kind of where the rain snow line stops. Through 11, 12, gets close to Charlotte. If we see a buckle, this will be the question. This is when cold air is coming in aloft, but the moisture is beginning to exit at the same time. So it's the old problem and dilemma we run into with systems here. Cold air is moving in, but the moisture is moving out. Where's that overlap going to occur? Probably late morning Monday is the best time frame. Here's 1 o'clock, some snow across Charlotte, and then by 2 o'clock it starts to lift out, and by the evening rush, it's all gone. So you see how quickly it moves out of the area. So how much are we talking about? This is kind of what I'm thinking now based on what I'm seeing today. And again, this is going to adjust. Just know this is a fluid situation. 5 to 8 inches in the mountains, but I'll be honest with you, some areas up there could end up with a foot at higher elevations. The toughest part of this forecast, honestly, is going to be up in here because the gradient will be in there, and we could see anywhere from a 1 to 2 inch snowfall to maybe 4, 5, 6 inches. So just know in the foothills, Lenoir, Morganton, Taylorsville, Granite Falls, down to Hickory, the potential is that could be a lot more snow if it changes over quicker. A little more confident what's going to happen down here, just not confident about how long it's going to last. We're going to see a rain-snow mix at some point, even down to Charlotte. So I have a trace to 1 inch, and that could make it all the way down to Interstate 85. But again, the air temperature is going to be above freezing. Ground temperatures are pretty warm. So this could be a situation where it actually snows around Charlotte on Monday, but it really never sticks to the surfaces of, let's say, the roads and the overpasses. It's just a grassy surface and decks and lawn furniture. Our typical kind of snowfall we get in the spring where it doesn't really do much to the road. It's basically a glorified wet, cold rain in many locations. So I wanted to show you real quickly the probabilities of seeing 2 inches of snow because I think this is very interesting to look at. This is our probabilities of seeing 2 inches of snow through Tuesday morning. And if you look carefully, obviously our highest chance of seeing that is Interstate 40 right here. But around Charlotte, there is a chance. It's a 1 to 5% chance we could see up to 2 inches of snow. So 2 inches is kind of on the high end of what we could see in Charlotte. Right now, it looks more of like a dusting to maybe an inch. And I'm really going to stick with this forecast for now. I'll try to keep things updated throughout the weekend. Might post another update tonight at some point, and then obviously on Sunday we'll have you covered. Again, the timing of all this really is, just to go back to this, our Futurecast, this is the timing. Monday morning, right here, this is the peak of this thing around 10 a.m. on Monday. So if you're planning for planning purposes, this really isn't a weekend storm per se, except for in the mountains on Sunday it becomes snow. For the Piedmont, this is more of a Monday issue, just a miserable cold rain. For the mountains, be ready for heavy snow by late tomorrow. You're about 24 hours out from having to be ready for wet, heavy snow. And it could be a foot in some locations in the mountains. And because it's wet and heavy, you're going to have some issues maybe with trees and power lines up there with temperatures cold enough that it will stick to the roads. Have a great Saturday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. I'll get you ready for this system as we get closer to Monday.